I would like to introduce Tan Sri Yusof Basiron, but allow me to give a little bit of his background. Tan Sri is not only a renowned and an influential figure in the palm oil industry, he's also much respected for his experience and expertise. Okay? He has served in numerous portfolios, and Tan Sri's track record in research stretches across 3 decades. Tan Sri Datuk Dr. Yusof Basiron is the Executive Director of CPOPC. Tan Sri leads the CPOPC in strategy direction for the improvement of the palm oil sector. Tan Sri, it's your floor.
Thank you, Prabha. Yang berhormat, Datuk Haja Zuraida Kamarudin, Minister of Plantation Industries and Commodities, good and distinguished speakers and participants, good morning. Selamat pagi. And on behalf of the organizer, CPOPC, or Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries, I welcome you to this webinar. First, I would like to extend my warmest greeting to Yang Berhormat for gracing us with a keynote address this morning. Next, I would like to extend my regards to our other distinguished speakers, Mr. Eric Q. Wong Seng of Sarawak Oil Palm Plantations, Oil Palms Berhad, Datuk Haji Daud Ahmad Zain of the Incorporated Society of Planters, Professor Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim of UCSI University. Thank you for your valuable time to be here with us today. To all participants, thank you for being here this morning with us, albeit still virtually, and I hope you are all doing well, especially in times of this ongoing pandemic challenge, where many of us have been heavily impacted, particularly in the economic aspects. Malaysia has inherited and developed a great palm oil industry that contributes to the country's economy, food security, employment, suitable agriculture development, sustainable agriculture development, and forest conservation. And most important of all, the oil palm provides green tree cover on our agricultural land that removes CO2 and generates O2, oxygen. And these are good for the environment, especially in mitigating climate change. The purpose of our gathering today is to bring greater awareness, especially to our millennials, what a treasure we have in the oil palm industry. Our young generation might have heard the great struggles of the older generation, such as the elder settlers, in developing the oil palm plantations throughout the country. Now that the industry is already sustainably developed and the high palm oil prices makes it very lucrative, it requires the support and energy of the young generation to build the industry into an even more lucrative industry in the future. Our success in developing the industry has attracted opponents to undertake smear campaigns, accusing the industry of causing deforestation, or the oil is less desirable compared to their oils. The truth is that oil palm is the best crop to plant on our agricultural land because it is high yielding and requires the least land and minimum deforestation. And in terms of food, palm oil is proven to improve your cholesterol ratio, and therefore it is one of the best oils to consume as part of our food system. So my main message today is how can the young generation, as inheritors of this great industry, be aware of the cynical smear campaign imposed by the NGOs and opponents of palm oil and take steps to help defend the industry by sharing the truth that the palm oil industry is good for the environment and for the food system of mankind, and how the millennials can continue to contribute to the building of a more lucrative and sustainable palm oil industry in the future. taking over from the old generation who have successfully established this great industry thus far. How can the millennial help fight the social media war against the opponents of the palm oil industry? One way is to follow the debate in palmoildiscourse.com, as our partner, Mr. Prabha, is hoping to do. For today's deliberations, we have heard of the industry being heavily impacted during this pandemic, predominantly due to labor shortage. Ironically, jobs in the palm oil sector do not seem to interest millennials. It is still common to find young people perceiving this sector and the agriculture sector unattractive as a field of career, without realizing the importance of the sector in their everyday lives. Additionally, other factors such as the growth of e-commerce, digital technology, and real estate seem to appeal more to young people. Everyone seems to want to be digital nomads these days. The oil palm sector, however, employs digital system as well, perhaps unknown to many of you today. The oil palm sector is a rich 70 billion ringgit industry per annum. Yeah. So I'm here to share with you, all the young people especially, that there is a future and plenty of bright opportunities for you in the palm oil sector, just like what the title of this webinar says. I've seen many people come a long way in this industry, school leavers who did not have much or any direction in life become plantation supervisors after years of dedication and hard work. The palm oil sector is one of the most lucrative sectors to be employed in, and big companies like Sarawak Oil Palm, Berhad, and Samdabi plantations are looking for highly motivated people to join their teams. Remember that this is an industry that cares for the welfare and the growth of its employees. With palm oil prices reaching high levels currently, hopefully setting the new trend for the future, the industry should be creating better employment environment to attract the young generation to work in the sector. For example, recruitment of workers can be facilitated by MPOB, Malaysian Palm Oil Board, offering training where trainees are given adequate allowances and subsequent placement in the plantation companies. Other industries have their recruitment system established, but this is probably not yet established for the palm oil industry. The recruitment system for labor and skilled workers for the palm oil industry have to be developed under the MPIC, Malaysian Plantation Industries and Commodity Ministry, perhaps with MPOB as the agent of implementation. Plantation companies must also do their part in this workers' recruitment system. To make it attractive, it is commonplace for palm oil companies to provide all sorts of facilities, including housing for their employees and facilities such as schools and childcare center for their families. It could be envisaged that through the MPIC and MPOB labor recruitment and training system, that youth can come into this sector with their group of friends and start their training in batches as harvesters, etc., and be placed in plantation employment as per their trained groups to provide familiar friends in their working place. Other innovative employment and working environment system can be designed to attract local youth to work in the oil palm plantation sector to reduce labor shortage and dependence on foreign labor. This can be an opportune time to do it as prices of palm oil are high, making new initiative more affordable to implement. Before I end my remarks, it is my hope and desire that you will take advantage of this valuable opportunity of being agents of change in the palm oil industry, our country's most highly regarded commodity that has been well marketed worldwide. Lastly, I wish you all a more successful webinar and sincerely hope that each and every one of you who participate in this seminar webinar will learn some important insights to be applied for the future. Stay healthy to all. Thank you. Now, perhaps next, it is my pleasure to welcome the Honorable Minister to deliver her keynote address.
In 2020, palm oil constituted nearly 3.6% of the GDP. This industry has also generated employment opportunities for decades and uplifted the livelihoods of many in Malaysia. The critical importance of the palm oil industry to the Malaysian economy cannot be overemphasized. In 2020, Malaysia accounted for 25.8% of world production and 34.3% of world exports for palm oil. Also, in 2020, in the oils and fats category, Malaysian palm oil accounted for 9.1% of total world production and 19.7% of total world exports. The palm oil industry infused the Malaysian economy in 2020 with approximately RM 73.3 billion. Hence, the contribution of the palm oil industry to the Malaysian GDP can only increase more so as Malaysia has a responsibility to help ensure food security for the world's growing population and meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, by 2030. For the industry to thrive, to begin with, there is the perennial necessity for workers to harvest the oil palm fruit or fresh fruit bunches and the consequent supply chain flow. Even before the pandemic, the industry has sounded out on the acute shortage of workers. Of course, during the pandemic, with borders closed, the industry is faced with hundreds and hurdles on adequate workers to harvest the fruit. Through discussions with the relevant stakeholders, the Ministry of Plantation Industries and Commodities has obtained approval to bring in 32,000 foreign workers for the plantation sector. This process is being accelerated as there is an urgency to get 40% of the harvest by the end of this year. Should Malaysia stumble in not having enough workers, the palm oil sector would lose close to 20 billion ringgit. Rest assured, the ministry is doing all it can to assist the palm oil industry. Ladies and gentlemen, crude palm oil is trading at an excellent high price and has been for some time now. It would be ideal if plantation companies could mobilize efforts to invest some of their profit into funding worker training programs that will ultimately benefit the plantation companies themselves. More attention must be paid to technical vocational education and training in Malaysia, including workers for the plantation sector. For example, school leavers who undergo a 2-month palm oil harvester training program should receive a remunerative monthly allowance funded by the plantation companies. This will eliminate the trainees' concerns on expenses such as transport and meals. According to the 12 Malaysia Plan unveiled in late September, there are 1,295 TVET institutions across the nation, of which 640 are public, 633 are private, and 22 are under state governments. TVET institutions should be mobilized to conduct training programs funded by plantation companies as, after all, palm oil is and will continue to be one of the most significant contributions to our GDP. A decade ago, the Malaysian Palm Oil Training Centre, Pusat Latihan Sawit Malaysia or PLASMA, was introduced at the Malaysian Palm Oil Board. One of the key initiatives behind the establishment of PLASMA is to decrease the reliance on foreign labour by developing human capital to produce skilled labour through training programs. PLASMA programs can be used as a template at TVET institutions throughout the nation to allow easier access to skills development training programs to polish Malaysian school leavers with job-ready skills for employment in palm oil plantations, where a good salary and a host of benefits await them, possibly leading to a lifetime career. I am confident that a training program such as this will attract school leavers who can look forward to jobs that provide security and comfort upon completion of training. I have also been informed that several implantation companies have set up their training institution and academy towards upgrading the skills and creating a pool of ready source of workers. This effort should be continued and supported. Ladies and gentlemen, The Malaysian government has made efforts to encourage the utilization of mechanization and automation technologies in the oil palm industry, in particular with the aims towards increasing productivity and reducing the dependence on foreign and unskilled workers. Through the setting up of the Mechanization and Automation Research Consortium of Oil Palm, MARCOP, and in collaboration with various research institutions and industry players, Malaysia aims to encourage the research and development as well as the commercialization of new indigenous mechanizations and automation technologies in Malaysia. This is supported by a one-to-one matching grant of RM30 million by the government that is matched by the industry. In this manner, we aim to push for greater buy-in across all sectors of the industry to move towards mechanization and automation. In support of these efforts to encourage mechanization and automation in the industry, the Institute of Malaysian Plantation and Commodities Impact provides various mechanization programs, including the Plantation Mechanization Operator course, KOML, to train skilled workers for the plantation sector. With the emphasis on skilled workers for the plantation sector, the pay can be remunerative, enticing the participation of more young local workers into the sector. Our aim is that this two-pronged approach will hopefully reduce our reliance on unskilled and foreign labor in the oil palm industry. Ladies and gentlemen, today's webinar carries the theme Bright Opportunities for Millennials, Career and Future in Palm Oil Industry. I am immensely pleased with this theme. Millennials may not be familiar with the depth of opportunities available across upstream, midstream, and downstream in the palm oil industry. Undergraduates and graduates in the fields of biochemical, finance, business, economics, marketing, pharmacy, and engineering, amongst others, must explore the scope available in one of the most important industries in Malaysia. I'm confident that today's attendees will hear profound insights from the esteemed panelists who are from the business side, the academia side, and the plantation side. In conclusion, I would like to congratulate CPOPC on the organizing of this webinar. To all attendees, listen keenly to the panelists and do be interactive by posing questions to them. I hope this webinar will be the first of more to cater to the interests of the millennials in the country. With that, I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I think all of us can be grateful that the Honorable Minister graced our webinar today with her thought-provoking keynote address, and it was very kind of her to find the time to record the video. We all know that she has a busy schedule, as her ministry is one of the most active. Okay, now on to our first panelist. Eric Q. Wong Sing is the Chief Operating Officer of Sarawak Palms Berhad and the Chairman of the Sarawak Oil Palm Plantations Owners Association. Eric's angle on our theme is Never Judge a Book by its Cover, Real Ambience of Working in Palm Oil Industry. Over to you, Eric.
Good morning. I was supposed to say thank you very much to Right Honorable Minister, but some technical glitch, but I'm sure she's with us in spirit. Thank you very much, Tan Sri. Thank you very much, Mr. Prava. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning I'm very honored to be asked to brush on this topic on millennials, the opportunities for millennials' career and future in palm oil industry. And the first segment, of course, is Never Judge a Book by its Cover, and real ambience of working in the palm oil industry. It's always difficult, I must say, to speak to a screen and not in front of an audience. But I think we all have to learn to live with all this. And I think after almost 2 years of confinement and numerous Zoom meetings, we have become very much accustomed to this new way of life. And I think this leads into the first part of my sharing. I call it sharing because, again, I'm speaking to a notebook with limited views of the participants. But I feel that we get warm, actually more personal this way, in the funny sense of the way. But the fact is, that this leads into very well a very short definition of millennials. I think for millennials, one thing we must define is that they are very comfortable with, the millennials are very comfortable with technology, with changes. So it's a lot more than the generations before. So I think that is, in a way, characterizes the millennials. Of course, for the generations before, sometimes we've wrongly sort of generalized the millennials for their sense of entitlement, the expectation of instant gratification, and sometimes not wanting to be told what to do. But that, I think, in many ways, a misconception and a misunderstanding. We must know that the ability of millennials is to adapt and harness the power of our changing technological world. It's often overlooked in this day and age. And this leads into other things. Whereas there's one very powerful, through the system of our education and through the education of our parenting, we've brought out a generation where they are very comfortable, not only with change, but they feel that everybody can contribute, and this is something that, and that gives it gives the millennials a lot of sense of wanting to see some change and then believe that they can contribute. So I think our talk cannot stray away from the fact that this generation of millennials are the coming generation. They are not a segment of the market. They are not a small audience group, but they are going to be the one taking over the industry from us. From Tan Sri, as you have mentioned before, we have fought very much, you have fought very much for the industry to get a footing, to earn our right in the place where now the success is such that they are starting to criticize us, starting to find faults in the things that we do. And I think there's many things that we need to continue to uphold in this market, in this industry, this beautiful and wonderful and very sustainable industry. Something that we come to be very proud of for those who have entered this industry. I think probably, Tan Sri, you don't remember, but once I met you for the first time almost 20 over years ago. I was just coming into the industry. I came from a manufacturing background and moved into being a farmer. And one of the first things when I spoke, I hosted a dinner. I think there was a seminar that you were in Kuching, and there was a seminar, and after that we had dinner, and we had a good close encounter and a lot of conversation between yourself and the rest of us. And something I find very warming is that there is a lot of things that we can learn, and I feel a lot more comfortable with the industry, because from there, I think we all find out that it's not merely planting of trees, but it's a golden crop, and it has brought a lot of benefits, not only to those who are directly in the industry, but also those who are involved indirectly in the industry, for example, the service sector and maintenance and all those. There's a lot of people that is involved in this industry. And I think today probably is not the best way to sort of portray the industry, but it's important to know that we are coming into an industry that is very developed. For example, for Sarawak Oil Palms itself, we are not the most advanced of all the plantation companies, but we do have from plantation all the way up to production of vitamins that is extracted from the fruits of the oil palm fruits. And of course, this is with the assistance, with the technology from MPOB. And it's only in this industry that MPOB has put in a lot of effort to promote and to bring more and more benefits to the industry. And that's something that's worth highlighting. And the support that we get from the industry is overwhelming. And it is with that we have to bring this knowledge and this sort of industrial exposure to our new millennials, because many of them, I believe, speaking to Mr. Brahat as well, that we know that the new generation, a lot of them, I think they shy away from, not shy away, but they're not very familiar with the industry. They do not see the opportunity, and there is a lot of opportunity. I mean, in many ways, the industry provides very good employment opportunity, very good training, very good benefits, and very good health and security that's provided to not only the person employed, but also the family. For example, I think in most of the industry, most of the companies that I know in the plantation sector, we provide not only medical benefits to those who are employed directly, but also to their family. And in many ways, we go out of the way to make sure that they're all taken care of. I think this industry is unique in the sense that I think because every person is an asset. No doubt the other asset that we take very good care of are the trees, the palm trees. But the truth of the matter is the most important assets within the company is our people, the people that our colleagues. So this is something that the industry is promoting, and it needs to bring this realization to the new generation, because there's a lot of them that they do not know that we require people not only running the estates, but also running the factories, the millings, the refineries, and also the R&D behind it. There's a lot of tie-up between the industry and the universities on R&D on various parts of the business, and not knowing so, there's a lot of people involved in this. In fact, I would say, they say that it's one of the highest, probably one of the higher employer in terms of number of employees within the country. So this industry employs plenty of people, but then the newer generation has to get involved more, and we're to find ways of doing so. So those are some of the things that we need to find. And one reason, I think, I believe one of the reasons that the millennials are not so involved is probably because of the mindset. I think we need to change that mindset. The mindset is that perhaps they think there's a lot of suspicion that the industry is, is plagued by the 4 Ds, being not, it's raining heavily now suddenly. So yeah, there are 4 Ds, and one of the reasons is also, I think, because of parental, the parents our generation, have not really encouraged the parental influence on this industry sector. A lot of them come from families of who were in plantation before, and because of this, they feel that life they encourage the children not to get involved in the sector. But I think now more and more with the higher prices, and I think over the years I can see, I've been in this industry for almost 25 years, and I can see the improvement to the livelihood a lot. It's a tremendous improvement in the livelihood of people involved in oil palm. And I can see that slowly but surely the people will change towards encouraging the children to get involved more into the agriculture sector. Unfortunately, we always feel that the agriculture, the 4 Ds, dirty, it's difficult, it's dangerous, and it's demeaning. I think those are, again, misconceptions that we need to fight, because it is not true.
Eric, Eric, may I interject?
Yeah.
Okay. There was one particular point that you actually brought up, which is quite unknown to most millennials, in that the palm oil industry is one of the most sustainable industries in terms of agriculture and commodities. This is because I guess it's the way that the that NGOs and media with vested interests would paint the industries. And you actually made a very good point that palm oil industry is not just about planting trees. It is actually a golden crop, which has got a very long value chain of benefits that extends right across the world. So maybe you would, can you just elaborate on that, in a kind of a summary manner?
Are you going to summarize a 70 billion industry in 3 seconds? Okay.
Wow.
I think we all know that perhaps one of the, I think I'll borrow from Dr. Beck Nielsen of the United Plantation. He always has implementation saying that, the oil palm industry is one of the most sustainable industry in the world, as far as, and I think a slide that he presented, almost 83% of the fruit is recycled or used in some ways. So there's no other crop in the world. I think Tan Sri can probably support me on this. There's no other tree crop or any crop in the world that has that type of credentials. And this is something that the industry has worked very hard on. And because of this, there's a lot of derivative that comes from the palm. I mean, we were just discussing, Mr. about the other day, that we find actually palm derivatives within our soap, our perfume. I mean, even the most famous cosmetic product, I cannot name the name here, but it's Japanese and it's very popular. They have elements of palm in it. And it is a required part because it's good for skin repair and all this, right? Through the use of tocotrienol, which is extracted from the palm. This is something that the industry is looking into. So there's a lot of derivative that comes from this. And because of this, the word was coined golden crop because it leads into so many derivatives and brings so many benefits, not only financial benefit, but also physical health benefits to all the people that is using this product.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for your interesting presentation. I sure was enlightened by your insights on the opportunities in the industry. Thank you, Eric. Now I would like to present our second panelist. Professor Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim is Professor of Chemistry at UCSI University and Senior Advisor Malaysia at the Fraunhofer Research Network in Germany. Dr. Ahmad's angle on our theme is Future Only Gets Better, be an agent of change in oil palm industry. Over to you, Dr. Ahmad.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prava. First, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share my views on this very important topic of attracting the millennials to embark on a career in the very bright future of the palm oil industry. I strongly believe that palm oil has a bright future ahead, and there are many reasons for this. First, what does the world need? The world needs food, right? And oils is one of the key food items that the world needs. And I know every year, the demand for oil is increasing at least 3% a year because of better purchasing power and bigger population. So if you look at the comparison between all these oil, the 17 oils, of course there are a few, 3, 4 in the major ones, you see that palm oil stand out. We talk about environment. I mean, if you look at comparative environmental score between these three oils, you see that palm oil again stand out. And we know that we are running short of land for the world to plant food crops. Again, palm oil stand out as the one which gives the highest yield per unit per hectare of land. And add to that the fact that palm oil has got many other attributes in terms of nutrition and other properties as food. I just cannot understand why there are so many who is hitting below the belt and harassing the industry. This to me is just cannot be explained. But of course, we know there is competition. The world is full of competition, and palm oil industry will have to rise to this competition. We have all the ammunitions. We have all the scientific arguments. In fact, I was telling my colleagues from Palm Oil Council, we should now embark on a cyber trooper. You see that a lot of the harassment is done through the social media. Recently, it's about that palm oil in biscuits can cause cancer. Of course, this has been disputed by our Director General of Health, which is good. But we must go on the offensive. We must go and pick out products from the US, from the Europe, which has very high level of trans fatty acids, for example, which is something that has come under a lot of scrutiny by the Food and Drug Authority throughout the world. But we're not capitalizing enough on this. So we need to go on an offensive. Even on environment, we need to go on offensive. It's no longer acceptable to just keep accepting what is being spread as fake news around the world. So I actually, myself and Tan Sri Yusof, we had crossed paths many times. We started our career in rubber, and Tan Sri Yusof actually introduced me to palm oil. And I've been doing a lot of years understanding palm oil. And I am convinced that palm oil has a very promising future for the country. Although now we are having 70 billion a year in Malaysia, but I think the opportunities to increase, to expand is there. Now, we are limited by the land area, of course. We are now approaching the 6 million hectares or thereabout. But MPOB is working very hard on increasing the yield. So I'm talking about technology here. Technology is becoming more and more prominent in the palm oil industry. And I don't see why the millennials, they are not attracted to this kind of opportunities that are presented by the industry. Even the drone technology, robotics, artificial intelligence. I have been involved in one group of people from the US. They are in satellite imagery. And this is now being used a lot in the plantation sector to monitor your application of fertilizers, disease issues, and other health aspect of the crops. And added to that, the fact that now there is an emerging demand for what we call carbon farming. Carbon farming is another opportunity that palm oil can actually embrace and benefit from it. Because increasingly, because of climate change, people are now looking to buy carbon. Those who have a carbon deficit industry will have to buy carbon to actually offset the deficit, to meet up the requirements of the target set by the climate change under the UN. And I'm told that in Glasgow, end of the week, there's a big COP26 meeting, which is going to be deliberating further on this. And we must remember that the tropics will be the one which will have the most impact in terms of global warming. And we have to be wary of that. And we can actually use palm oil in this carbon farming business. We need to look at this. But for the millennials, I think maybe we're not marketing the industry well to the millennial. We're not telling them exactly the attraction of becoming involved in this industry. I'm doing my bit. At UCSI University, one of the subjects or one of the groups I teach is in the foundation. And I teach introduction to chemical engineering. And you know which crop I use as my case? Palm oil. And I've been teaching this for many years about how palm oil is processed, the benefits of palm oil. So this should be done. We should get more lecturers in the different universities to do this. But to market to the millennials, or in fact to market the talent, to get more talent to join the industry, I suggest, I was just hinting to Tan Sri just now, we should look at the model used by the army. You know, the army, a soldier is also the 4Ds, difficult, dangerous, and whatever. But many young people join the army. Why? Because they talk about the conditions when you join the army, that you can be exposed to new training. You know, you don't have to stay forever as a harvester. You know, you can actually be given training to advance your career in other field. So this has to be a package. So I would like to suggest that the palm oil industry develop some kind of a labor blueprint where you can package your marketing constituents to the millennials. And technology, I believe the millennials are more comfortable with dealing with technology kind of business. And palm oil, I mean, we already talked about drone, robotics, artificial intelligence, and these are all technology. And I want to tell that increasingly now, we are also looking at biotechnology in palm oil, trying to improve the oil in the breeding. So there's a lot of technology space in the industry. But this needs to be marketed. This need to be consistently told to the millennials, which is not happening, I'm afraid. And the other one that when you talk about the environment, actually, the palm oil industry has from the start been looking at environmental impact of their business. I remember because I used to do a lot of work on waste treatment, first for rubber, then for palm oil. We were doing it. We were concerned about the environment. We went into zero burning. We went into looking at the biotechnique of dealing with pests. We were concerned. So, I mean, it's not right to say that the palm oil industry lack of environmental concern, which is totally untrue. So these are things that I think the palm oil industry need to embark on to actually market the industry more, other than just to fight those harassment that has been coming our way through the social media. We have to go on the offensive, and we have the ammunition, we have the science, we have the substance to actually fight all these fake news that are being spread on the social media. Thank you very much, Rabah.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad. Interesting analysis from an academia perspective, something to ponder on. Now, on to our third panelist. Datuk Dr. Ahmad Zain is chairman of the Incorporated Society of Planters, president of the International Institute of Plantation Management, and adjunct professor at the Faculty of Plantation and Agrotechnology at UITM. Datuk Daud's angle on our theme is Chart Your Career Highway, Unknown Opportunities in Palm Oil Industry. Over to you, Datuk Daud.
Thank you, Praha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. To CPOPC, thank you very much, especially to my good friend Tan Sri Dr. Yusuf Basiron, who is basically a scientist And of course, Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim, also another friend of mine who's a scientist. But moving forward, let me, as a duty to all of you who are listening, we are the leaders of oil palm. When I say we, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Nusantara is another scope of all of you who must know history. But let me get rid of the stigma. The 4D, as far as the millennial is concerned, means decent, dignified, diligent, and disciplined lot, not the 4 negative Ds. And that is why the keyword today is only 3 things, the take-home message: motivation, motivation, motivation. It is easy for me to say because I was literally and biologically born in the estates. The condition which I have acquired all my life make me a professional planter. Therefore, if you look at the success of Malaysia, we have already successfully trained lady planters, and a lot of GLC are already employing the ladies. If you do not give equal opportunity, the NGO and even the public will definitely bombard us continuously. And the way forward is basically to what Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim has earlier mentioned. I think his labor footprint is essential to motivate the youngsters, and those, academically speaking, people, we have done a survey, people, when you advertise with CGPA 3 point and above, the majority are ladies. And the usual parochial nature, chauvinistic male like me, we underestimated their ability. Time to change to the leaders out there is to give equal opportunity to the ladies. To add on to Eric's points, the bungalows, the houses, the water supply, and the electricity are free, and some are subsidized. And a lot of GLC and some good companies even pay beautiful bonuses and profit sharing in as far as employees is concerned. And I think the YB minister is still listening. Madam YB, we are using guest employees. Let's change that stigma. Guest employees meaning to say the Indonesian, the Nepalese, the Bangladeshis, the Indonesian and the Filipinos, they come to Malaysia as guest employees, hence they must be treated equally. This is the way forward for the industry. And I can tell you, by virtue of Malaysian Palm Oil Board Act 1998, the entire planters of 5,000 plus minus in Malaysia are professional planters. And as far as ISP is concerned, work in progress, we are trying to request the minister to carry a bill of Act of Parliament, the Planters Act, meaning to say to uplift and dignify the profession in the plantation industry as other professionals. Hence, we need an Act of Parliament. So this is work in progress. And I think Malaysia, I take pride of it personally, and we must take pride personally. The success, the prosperity in Indonesia and Thailand is none other than the talent which is from our home ground, Malaysia. We must be proud of that. A lot of Malaysians with experience and discipline, the motivation is to earn more money. They are already working in Africa, Latin America, Papua New Guinea, and of course, our neighbors, Thailand and Indonesia. Therefore, this is partly the dicey part, the pull and push factor affecting the Malaysian palm oil industry. But as Eric mentioned, it's a developed, matured industry. The entire supply chain is open to all the millennials who have very simple, I always use these two very simple saying of the Holy Book. Ask and thou shalt be given. Ask in past tense. If you have the right attitude, the right skills which you can acquire, and the experience, which of course employers are duty bound to give and to provide, and the right discipline. Inshallah, God willing, that is what makes Indonesia, Papua New Guinea very hugely successful with the science-based originally inherited from the days of RRI and now MPOB. But look at the price of CPO quoted by MPOB last week. My God, if you are not thankful to the Creator, I do not know what else you should do. So I am appealing to the employers. It's high time to not only pay lip service, to seriously, properly reward the employers, irrespective of whether they are local Malaysian or guest employees. So this is the way forward. If you do not do this, I can assure you the next 100 years, I do not know what else can happen to us. And I thank the COVID-19 for teaching us towards going forward on mechanization and innovation. And then the processes of digitalization, if it is not innovation, I don't think I am capable of joining all of you physically. I am standing on the soil on Kota Kinabalu, of which that is my origin. But I am sure intimately a lot of participants is listening to us by virtue of the small gadget in their privacy. Therefore, if you look at the part of the strong component of the oil palm industry is being honest. And on the issue of integrity, Malaysians have taken the lead to spearhead the business of palm oil and its derivative. So hence, in essence, we need agrologists, we need botanists, we need chemists, we need engineers, we need medical doctors, we need EHA, and we need all other auditors who are more lucrative now because most of the new intake of planters are basically equipped with first degree. So the way forward, I have seen a lot of board members being our good ladies, but mind you, there are a lot of good planters already developed my companies. But I must credit to one personal friend of mine who is an accountant. Her name is Sonia Chua, who started twiddling my ears and strangling my neck to help her develop more female planters 20 years ago. And Sonia Chua, if you are listening, madam, age-wise, you must be, 10 years my senior, but your spirit lingers in my blood and soul. So with that note, I say it again with conviction. Motivation, motivation, motivation. If we want to see the resilience of this global palm oil that is regarded as wonder crop. Thank you at this particular moment. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Datuk Daud. That was, how do you say, extremely enlightening. Quite an in-depth takeout, possible only from a planter of over 45 years of experience. Our distinguished panelists have certainly around our theme. Do we have any questions from the panelists? Sorry, any questions from the attendees? I'm sorry. Okay, allow me to go and ask a question. I would like to pose this question to Dr. Ahmad. Dr. Ahmad, yes. You had mentioned about one of the ways to go and attract millennials by the fact that the usage of drone technology, robotics, and other artificial intelligence disciplines, it's gaining more widespread as the industry evolves. Could you just elaborate on that? Because I'm sure that the millennials present would like to go and hear of this. I'm sure many of them are not aware on how widespread the use of AI is in the industry.
Well, the palm oil industry is dominated a lot by the plantation sector. And so you have two sectors actually in the production. One is the smallholders, the other one is a plantation. Unlike in rubber, rubber is now mainly smallholders. And when you talk about plantation, there are more recognition of deployment of technology. And you see, increasingly, the plantation companies are looking at technology to help offset some of their costs and improve productivity. And increasingly, they are using some of these technologies like drones and other digital technology to help them offset some of these escalating costs in the production. And even the use of such technology for the workers are increasingly becoming clearer. So now, for the millennial, I don't think you should look at palm oil as the old industry in the past. It's a new industry, it's a modern industry. And I've got to mention that since this trend toward environment, renewable, actually favors the palm oil. I mentioned about the world need for food. The other needs of the world are chemicals. Chemicals now are provided by petrochemicals. And palm oil has oleochemicals, which is renewable and which is also biodegradable. So these are all our advantages. And I've not touched on biomass. You know, we have a lot of biomass in terms of empty bunches and all this, which have not been fully exploited. I was listening to the DG of Malaysian Timber Board the other day, the furniture industry. They are now looking very closely at the palm oil trunk to turn it into a viable source of timber. Rubber, wood is now the dominant, but they're looking at oil palm. So there are many opportunities for use of technology, for research. And as I was saying, we need to actually present a career path for the millennials. Not just you come in and work as a harvester and you are dead there. No. You come in as a harvester, but you are exposed to future careers within the industry. Training in managing operating the digital technology. And I want to say that increasingly, data analytics are becoming very important elements of decision-making in the palm oil business. And data analytics is all about technology, computerized technology, algorithm. So I think if we can get this across the message to the millennial, I'm sure that there'll be interest.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad. That is, that's actually quite interesting because a lot of millennials are not aware of the opportunities there.
Yes.
Okay, I've got a question for Dr. Daud. Someone once made a sexist statement to me, and he said that the only time he had actually encountered females in the workforce, was in the accounting department of a plantation company. So when you tell me that about this lady by the name of Sonia Chua, and she being a female planter, it actually kind of erases the shadow that planters are only of the male gender. Dr. Daud, could you please elaborate on how do we get the millennials and how possibly female university graduates into the workforce as planters?
Thank you, Praha. If the employer is serious, it is doable. Doable means you can even do in-house training. Basically, a lot of public listed companies have already done it for more than 15 years now. Very successful. And I must say this, IMW Plantation Berhad is among the top now. But they humbly started when it was originally Golden Hope in Carey Island. And when I was in FGV, we have about 24 of them. One of the very first steps we did was to send them to outbound school Lumut, the physical conditioning of a full course, expecting some of them will fail. This I must emphasize, Praha and ladies and gentlemen, not a single of the girls failed outbound school in 25 days course. And they outnumbered, not only outshine the men, the top student then was a girl. And then this course, they were very lucky. It was combined with the Air Force personnel from Singapore, of which equal gender was given. So that was outstanding. And because of the initiative, they gave me a role of honor because I attended outbound school in 1974, sent by Commonwealth Development Corporation. They were not Kedekut. This Orang Putih company in 1974, they were very serious. They wanted local Sabahan to start working as a cadet, but to sustain working for the rest of their working life. And I can tell you, the only thing I can say today is salute, bravo, Orang Putih. So to me, the employer, the message, don't be kedekut in the training, invest on training. That is the way forward. That is, I use the 3 word motivation and motivation. And of course, if you are serious, the ladies will stay with us. And if you want to visit the full-fledged Bumiputra manager, is not far away from Kuala Lumpur. Visit Ladang Serkam. It's somewhere in Malacca. It's just beside the highway. You will see Siti, who is also an alternate member of the board of Incorporated Society of Planters. I am very pleased to say this. We created history, and Siti is married, 3 kids, and of course a husband. And this is no more, getting pregnant is no more an issue. And few more who are also engineers in the oil palm mill refinery and also oil palm plant breeders. 7 of them top class are girls. So outside there, just be bold. If you do not get a job after an interview, make a simple complaint to me. My email is with the secretariat, and my slides, about 5 of it, is with you. The notes are there. Don't be shy. Be bold.
Thank you, Datuk Daud. I have a question for Eric. Could you elaborate on what are the career opportunities over the next few years in the plantations industry, in particular Sarawak, and also what is the downstream potential in Sabah and Sarawak? Because in Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak constitute the biggest plantation acreage. So could you just elaborate on this or give some ideas?
Okay, thank you. The opportunity, to start with, there was always opportunity on the planting side, right? The plantation, because yeah, we have in Sabah and Sarawak, most of us use a lot of foreign workers. So, so there's always a lot of opportunity to look into, and especially the supervisory and management part of the estate. That is one. As far as downstream is concerned, opportunities in Sabah and Sarawak, I think one of the things that our side we are pushing for is that, you know, we all, NPOB has a lot of support on the industry, but we are hoping that the NPOB will put up more facility and more research facility and efforts within Sabah and Sarawak itself, so that to promote the local talent and to visit a lot. There are more universities now set up in both Sabah and Sarawak. And these institutions of learning requires a lot of funding and research to promote research. So there's a lot of opportunity there that with this as a backbone, I think then we will move further and further into downstream and opportunity. Unfortunately for us in Sabah and Sarawak, we have to look at the export market because the local market, unlike West Malaysia, we don't have the population to support this. So for us, whatever we need to do, we need to be of a higher, we have to move downstream on a higher, a different level, and concentrate on exporting our products. So those are all job opportunities, because the level of we need chemical engineers, we need biological engineers, biologists, we need chemists, we need engineers, we need all sorts of people actually.
Thank you, Eric. Interesting. Okay, I have a question here for Datuk Daud, and this is actually a very sincere question from a gentleman by the name of James Ivan. He says that he's new to the industry, and as a smallholder, how do I grow my business? I only have basic training from elders in my kampong. Datuk Daud, could you please assist this gentleman? What would you recommend?
Thank you, Praha. I hope the gentleman is if he's I will guide him. But let me remind him, in Malaysia, I hope this gentleman have MPOB license. If you are a smallholder, you must have MPOB license. It's free. Registration is free. A lot of people simply tanam kelapa sawit in God-forsaken places and whatever, even reserve land. Don't do that. That is illegal. If you have land title or even a PL and even you must have MPOB license. You will get a lot of help and guidance from the nearest MPOB license. But if I said, if you are also in Peninsular Malaysia, if you are daring, you can invite me for a simple, kalau ada buah-buahan, kita makan buah-buahan. Saya orang kampung. Kalau you tak jemput, if you don't ask me, I will not give you. You tak doa, you will tak dapat from Yang Maha Kuasa. So to me, be sincere. If you want minta tolong, Tuan minta tolong. I know the YB minister is listening. YB, I am appealing on behalf of the planter. The matching grant is insufficient, madam, for mechanization and innovation. You yang berhormat, please take our case to cabinet and take our case. The matching grant, I repeat, is too small in comparison to the GDP kita and also comparison to the developed country. Nothing to shout about, but we appeal. So today, the smallholder, I want to actually get rid of the stigma. With a friend called Pak Rahmat Kamisan, we are going to promote and introduce tauke kecil ni sebagai technopreneur. Technopreneur is basically a dignified name. We don't want to call it oil palm harvester or tauke. We want to label them as technopreneur, even though the land is 4 hectares, even 10 hectares, so that they can be proud of ownership of the land. Tapi if they are not trained, I will also find ways to help them. Cuma the 250,000 smallholder registered by virtue of MPOB Act 1995 are well assisted by the government. And those requiring bigger help is none other than Eric punya state, Sarawak, and my state, Sabah. And of course, those smallholders who are already tauke and millionaire in Peninsular Malaysia, they should be role model. And those of them who are good trainer, ISP has got 20 branches all over Malaysia. That is why we embrace and we reach out to the small player and also the professional planters.
Thank you, Datuk Daud.
Thank you, sir.
I have one more question, and this was actually an angle that was mentioned by Eric, where he says that plantation companies are more aggressive in developing joint ventures with universities. So looking at this point, isn't it possible for when the plantation companies work with the universities, for the universities to be some sort of a sandbox to generate professionals so that the millennials can look at the industry as that is the industry that I want to go to? Possibly, Dr. Ahmad, would you be able to go and shed some light on this?
Are you talking about the
collaboration between plantation companies and universities?
Yes. Actually, the palm oil industry, we have the palm oil board, right? Palm oil board actually helps as the applied research organization. And palm oil board should rightfully link to a university, right? So the palm oil board works with the university to develop some fundamental aspects of science and take that on, apply research based on the needs of the industry. This is actually the model used in Germany. I'm actually with the Fraunhofer network of research. This is their model. That's why Germany is very successful in terms of addressing commercialization of research.
Yep.
But in Germany, the Fraunhofer Institute, the head of the institute is from the professor in the university. And the institute linked with the SMEs. So this is not happening here in Malaysia. I've been trying very hard to get this model in. That's why we have problem in the country, because research is done mainly by universities, and universities are not having very good link with industry. So they need a middleman, the Applied Research Institute. MPOB is the right institute to play that role. They already linked to industry, but they must link to a university. Because in research, you cannot just have applied research 100%. You must have a balance between applied and fundamental research. Fundamental is the knowledge where you develop and use in applied research. We don't have that connectivity. So I'm trying very hard to push for this kind of model for the country. And I think it may be happening soon, because under the 12 Malaysia plan, the EPU will be hosting the research management unit, which actually will be proceeding towards this kind of model. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmad. Okay, we have a question here, which I think is just right up the alley for Eric. Says, I'm a final year student in chemical engineering from UNIMAS, and I'm really interested to work in the palm oil industry after my graduation. I wish to ask, is there a field related to safety and health engineering and also environmental engineering in the palm oil industry? Whereby, is there any job opportunities such as safety engineer or environmental engineer besides becoming the mill engineer? Because my major is more related to the environmental and energy sustainability, and I'm looking forward to pursue my career in the palm oil industry. Eric, could you ask this young girl's, can you answer this young girl's question?
Yeah, I think congratulations for studying in UNIMAS, and that's a very fine institution. Yes, I think there are opportunities, a lot of opportunities in this area. I mean, of course, to start with, the basic engineering is we're always short of. But nowadays, with the sustainability, with the environmental consideration coming from the for the industry, for example, methane capture, cutting down on GHG and all even the smokestack, even the requirements now have tightened up for our chimney discharge of. So all this will require, without any doubt, environmental sort of engineering considerations. So there are opportunities. Safety and health, of course, this is always something that is, our industry is I think probably one of the industry that very much, we're very much concerned with safety and health in both milling and refinery and all sorts of activity that I do. And this is something that we have to thank the sustainability movement as well, because that has reinforced the requirement for this. So nowadays, there are a lot of opportunity that wasn't available many years ago, at least the time when I started. But now it is an essential part. It's become an essential part of the industry. So yes, there are opportunity. And please do write into us. We are always looking for new people and energetic young people. Thank you.
Okay, Eric, would it be okay for us to go and share SOPB's email with the participants?
Yes, you can reach us by our website, which is www.sop.com.my. So in there, there are there are places where you can actually deposit your questions, or if you have any query, and even your application for work. So please, by all means, visit it, and there are information on the industry as well. It is of course, I would advise you to also look at places like Sain Dhabi, and because they are very much some people that we look up to, and they have been longer. We've only about 50+ years. They are more than that, longer than us. So please visit all these sites. There are plenty of information, plenty of things that you can see. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see whether there are any other questions. No, I think that's okay. That's about it. Okay, there's a new. Okay. Now, before we end, I would like to ask each panelist for their wish list that they could post to the government in terms of. Sorry, just a moment. Yeah, maybe each panelist can, can voice their wish list for the government or industry in order to help millennials to succeed in the palm oil industry. Reason because millennials and young professionals are still not aware of the dimension of opportunities in the oil palm industry. So what would be your wish list? Can we start with Eric? Something that you can post to the government to go and encourage millennials to consider the industry as their career and future?
Education. I think the government can help in terms of education, putting into the syllabus, because to more promote to give them the information, basic information on the industry, and also to, of course, by doing that, you also excite the new generation. And that's for the generation to come. For the immediately, I think that, yeah, we need a lot of assistance from the government side to, and also industry, to try to I think, better expose the public, especially the millennials, to this industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Dr. Ahmad, what would be your wish list for the government to encourage millennials to come on board with the industry?
Okay. See, in the past, our pain points were environment and nutrition. So we have been marketing palm oil to the world to say that we have no problem with this, that we are conforming to nutrition. Now, a new pain point has risen, which is labor. Labor is now the new pain point for the industry. You know, we have at this high price of 5,000, we are short of labor, and we have lost billions in terms of unharvested fruits. And we need the labor to come in, not just the millennials, the local labor, even bringing in foreign labor. We must need to have a system of managing this labor, which make it attractive for them to come. So I'm again suggesting that we should market the industry now to the workers. Before we were marketing the industry to the consumers. Now it's marketing the industry to attract talents. And one of the areas are millennials. So that's why my suggestion on the labor blueprint to actually package the message to the millennials that you have a career path in the palm oil industry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ahmad. Okay, can we have a wish list from Datuk Daud?
Thank you, Prabha. My only wish list is we now have a very powerful lady as a minister. I think in history, this is the second lady minister, but I still want to appeal to her, Yang Berhormat. Our voice must be louder, please, in the cabinet. Our voice must be louder in the parliament. Hence, please allocate sufficient fund to promote equal opportunity in the industry, not just lip service by all of us, including myself. If I'm not successful to train, say in the next 10 years of 100 female assistant managers or managers, I will fail in my KPI as the chairman of the Incorporated Society of Planters and the International Institute of Plantation Management. So another point that I want to emphasize, with due credit, collaboration and good work has been in the pipeline ever since time immemorial between ISP, for example, with UPM, UITM, USM, and even the newer universities such as University Malaysia, Kelantan, and Terengganu. So it has to be zone-based, whereby in Sarawak you have few universities which is public, but I must puji the Sarawak state government. They are already ahead, embracing with us because they have a syntax which is under the Yayasan Sarawak based in Muka. They are already doing it in a big way. And my visit today in the Chief Minister's Department Sabah, because they are sort of inveying what Sarawak is doing. That's why the agreement has been signed this morning, but it will be taking off end of this month. So I'm very pleased with that, although it's quite tiring and challenging to visit my home place, but the exercise and the efforts is fruitful. So with that note, the universities has already been collaborating with the industry. What basically the potential employees needed is one step ahead. Be bold. And if you do not know my address, you can Google Daud Ahmad Zain, which is small machine. And the secretariat, can you please share my email to the participants who are interested, because it is crucial that we can reach out to them. With that note, CPOPC, well done. My fellow panelists, bravo, and to you, sir. Terima kasih banyak-banyak.
Thank you, Dr. Daud. Okay, now thank you very much, everyone. To sum up, okay, from the keynote address to the opening remarks to the views and the opinions from the distinguished panelists, all of us present here can indeed see the bright opportunities for millennials' career and future in the palm oil industry. Interestingly, the questions posed has helped to go and extract even further information from the panelists who've been kind enough to go and deliberate and analyze the different areas of the palm oil industry and how it can actually assist millennials to go and have the proper thinking that this is an industry that I can make my career in. I would, on behalf of the CPOPC, I would like to thank the Honorable Minister for the keynote address, the distinguished panelists for the well-received impressions, to the Executive Director of CPOPC, Tan Sri Datuk Dr. Yusof Basiron, for his opening remarks, and to all attendees for your participation in this webinar. Now, as for the lucky draw, the winner of the Apple iPad is Angkok Yu. A round of applause for him. Thank you everyone for staying till the end of this webinar. Angkok Yu, I will contact you directly and work out the logistics on how to send over the iPad to your good self. Do follow the CPOPC media handles. Follow them. There's a lot of information on their platforms. Okay, we look forward to having all of you present at the next event in the CPOPC webinar series. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Thank you, Dato' Ahmad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Bye. Take care.